You know, the Golden Gate Bridge is a beautiful bridge. It's a modern work of art, if I do say so myself. Now, if you've never seen it, if you've never been out California way, you should head out there sometime and really go sightseeing. There's a lot of things I have to see in old California. You know, I've only been there one time, and it was for a business-related trip, and I didn't get to really see a lot because there's a lot to do out there, and at the point where you get to actually go out on vacation and look around and see things, it's like, well, I'm tired anyway from all my business meetings, and I don't want to do a whole lot of extra work because it's been a little bit taxing on my body, my human body, and I need the rest. And by the time we actually get to have some free time, I just want to hang out in the hotel, maybe go to the pool, the indoor pool, and they've got like a water slide that goes outside of the building briefly, and you get to see that, and it's like pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, this is, I mean, obviously it's gimmicky, and that's fine, and that can be done well. But water parks, they're fun. They're fun to go to if you've got nothing better to do and you just want to kind of chill out or whatever it is that you like to do. Then you can go ahead and do that at the water park. They won't stop you. They're very nice people at the water park. The lifeguards, they'll save your life. That's their job. Their job is to save your life. You got to thank these people. You got to be thanking these people every day because nobody else is out there doing their job. So they're the ones who have to make the conscious effort to become a lifeguard, and they save other people's lives and bodies. And it's like, just learn some respect. That's all I'm saying. Is you got to respect the people who are out there making a difference, like firefighters and lifeguards and artists. They're making differences, I guess. At first there was a canvas that had nothing on it, and now it's got art on it. See, that's a difference. That's a difference, and that's a legitimate difference. And if you can't understand that, then I guess you just don't have the gift, as they say. Now, I don't profess to be like an art snob or nothing like that, because honestly I don't understand a lot of art. Like you could throw a paper towel into a jar full of sand, and I guess that could be art. Or you could tear a picture out of a book or a page out of a book and then write a bunch of hate speech on it, and then that becomes art or something like that. Or you can take a ring and put it in the crease of the book and take a picture of the shadow, which looks like a heart, and that's a really funny joke. Or you can just take a close-up picture of somebody's eyeball, and then take the gradient tool in Photoshop and apply the rainbow gradient to somebody's eyeball, and then that can be art too. Or maybe you just Photoshop in fireworks in the background of a picture of somebody's eye. Wow, there's nothing I could do. That's fantastic. I didn't even have a chance. Alright, well, let's keep on trucking, I guess. And so you're making a difference. You go on the websites like deviantart.com or furryart.net or something like that, and it's they got a lot of nice things on here. Not so much on the furry one, because that's mostly disgusting. That's more disgusting than it is interesting to look at, I think, because I don't understand why people are so obsessed with animals and watching animals have sex with each other, but they have humanoid proportions to their bodies, and they're like, hey, I'm like a dog, man, but I have the abdominals of a strong, handsome man who's also happens to be naked, because guess what? Animals are naked most of the time. And maybe that's why these furries are so into. Would you stop it? Are so into these animals is because they're naked all the time. Now you go go on the internet and look at pornography, and it's like, wow, this stuff is really entertaining. This stuff is really fascinating to me. And I'm like, no, it's not that fascinating. If you're really interested in seeing stuff like that, you can just find someone in real life who will do that stuff for you, and you don't have to be a weird creep about it or nothing. If you want to be a weird creep, I guess that's, like I said, that's your own prerogative. I can't judge you too harshly for being a weird creep, because there are people go on Craigslist.com or Match.net or LoveConnection.edu, and they stop uploading pictures of their biceps or pictures that they took of themselves in front of the bathroom mirror, and they think that it's a good flattering picture of themselves, but it's really not, because they're taking a picture with a really old cell phone camera, so everything looks yellow and washed out, or maybe greenish, and it's just really gross, and it's just not a very good, it's not composed very well, the picture is not, and they think that it's flattering to them, and I'm you gotta really be more conscious about what you're doing, because you can't, especially since these pictures are from 2011, and you've put on about 30 pounds since then, so you don't really look as attractive as you used to, even though you like to think that you could get back in shape someday. And I'm not going to say that it's impossible for you to get back in shape, but you're not making a conscious effort to do it. Now you're 39 and you bought a membership to the local gym, and you're going to try to make a difference because your 40th birthday is coming up in like 3 months, and you want to lose at least 15 pounds before that hits, because you realize that if you don't start making an effort to lose weight now, you're going to be like a fatso for the rest of your life. And if you want to be fat, that's okay if you want to be fat. But the thing is, if you don't want to be fat, but you're not making a conscious effort to change it, then it becomes your fault. Now, I don't think people should be chastised for being fatzos, because everybody has their own. Sometimes it's hard to lose weight. Now, I work a job currently where I sit in a desk for 8 hours a day, and if I wasn't eating just vegetables and hummus all the time, then I would probably be a large fatso. But the thing is, I drink a lot of water and coffee, and I don't really drink a lot else. I do drink the occasional Pabst Blue Ribbon, as you might know. I do enjoy some of that stuff, but it's not like it's something that I consume all the time. It's not something I consume every day, and it's certainly not something that consumes my life. And you have to be able to not let it consume your life, because that stuff will. I know some people who had some real problems with alcohol in the past, and because of that, they have to watch what they drink. They have to be in AA. Now, my uncle's brother has been in AA for the past 35 years, and I condemn him for his efforts, because it's not easy to give up something that you enjoy doing for such a long time. I just destroyed that man's castle. It's not easy to give up something that you've enjoyed doing for such a long time, especially if the only reason you're doing it is because other people are asking you to, and not because you want to do it yourself. Now, change comes from within for the most part, but if people start to have interventions and restrain you, then it just becomes so annoying to the point where you just want to start giving up drinking or whatever, because they keep telling you to, not because you want to actually do it, but because you're tired of them telling you to do it all the time. And it's like, just give it a fucking rest. I'm tired of listening to your mouth run. I'm tired of coming home and you guys are all sitting in a dumbass circle. And you know how much I hate circles, and you keep sitting in circles. You could at least pick a different shape, like a trapezoid or a rhombus, which are very similar in shape, but are actually kind of different in their own personal way. If you're an artist, going back to that, you'll know exactly how to spot the difference between a rhombus and a trapezoid. But I'm not going to tell you. You have to just know. It's the kind of thing that just comes natural. Like playing tennis, it just comes natural. Like riding a bike, it just comes natural. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad for not being able to point out these things on their own, because it is a little embarrassing when it seems like everybody else knows something that you can't quite figure out on your own, because you feel like maybe you're not smart enough, or you haven't deleted your internet browser cookies recently, and you think that someone's going to look at your internet browser, and you can't be bothered to go Wikipedia it because you don't want them to see what you've been looking at the past weekend, since you were home alone all week, and you had the door wide open and left the volume turned all the way up as you watched stuff. But little did you know that your neighbor could still hear you, because you lived in a small apartment and the walls are paper thin, and you thought that your wall was up against the laundry room, but it turns out it's actually up against your neighbor's bedroom. And they were home all weekend, and they were in their bedroom because they were sick, so they were just listening to the things that you were listening to all week, and they got kind of afraid of it. They'll never see you in the same light that they saw you in before. And honestly, if you weren't ever talking to your neighbor in the first place, then it's not that big of a problem. It's not that big of a problem if your neighbor thinks that you're a weird creep, because you don't even know his name for the most part. You think his name is Gerald, but his name's actually Jerome. And you're like, yeah, that's a good name, but Gerald, that's a weird name. That's like the kid from Hey Arnold, because I like that show. I talked about that before. Go look it up, heyarnold.com. And goodness gracious. And so your neighbor, he thinks you're a weird creep now, and there's nothing you can do about that. But if you're okay with it, like I am, I don't care what if you're not a regular part of my life, I don't care what your opinion is of me, because honestly, I say a lot of crazy things, and if you think I'm insane, then you're probably onto something. Honestly, I do tend to ramble on a lot, and when you ramble like I do, you say a lot of things that maybe don't make a lot of sense to the people who listen to it. And honestly, the fact that people are listening to this, I think, is a little bit insane. I'm going to do a little shout out here. I know some people have been watching my shows and leaving comments and being real supportive of me. So I appreciate that. If you're going to be a nice guy like that, I appreciate your patronage, because honestly, it takes a lot out of a person to do something like this, and to have people who appreciate it it's fantastic. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for all the support, because it is fantastic, and it's fun to interact with people who you don't know in some way, but you feel like you get to know them when you listen to them talk all the time. Now, little shout out to my pal Shazzle Games. You can check him out. He's on my recommended channel list. He's right there because he's good at what he does. He played video games. I like people. I don't like what's going on now, though. I don't like this. Thank you. That was fun, I guess. So yeah, go check him out. I don't care what you do. I'm not going to make you do it. Obviously, it's not something that I'm super concerned about, because if you don't want to, obviously you don't have to. Obviously, I've talked about this before, where making people do things that they don't want to do is just kind of morally reprehensible. It's just I don't know. I feel bad about asking people to do things, especially if it's people I don't know, and especially if it's things that they don't want to do. Like, who am I to ask you to go do something that you don't care about? That's like if I was your daddy and I asked you to go mow the driveway. You'd be like, I don't want to do that because that sounds like a ridiculous thing to do, But he's your daddy, so you have to listen to him anyways, because daddy knows best. That's what they've always said in the Bible. If you read that, the Bible, they say daddy knows best. Oh, you give that back. Oh, you shithead. Oh, I got it. That's fantastic. Yeah, it says it in the Bible. Go read the Bible. I don't read the Bible so much as I read the Torah, because that's got a lot of information in there that I like. Even though there's a lot of similar stuff in there, I think between the Bible and the Torah, you can really make a lot of assessments that maybe they were written by the same group of people, the same in the same era, the same time frame. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on who you ask, I guess, because everybody's got like a different story about how that whole religious history thing happened. And the Bible, it's a good work of fiction. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. They got a lot of funny stories. Like, there's this one story in there about a man who had a lion, and then he went to the lion's house, and the lion was like, hey buddy, you want to stay out of my house? I really don't appreciate what you're doing by coming into my den. And then the man was like, I'm going to kill you, lion. And then he did that, and then the lion was like, well, would you please leave, because I will call the police if you don't, and I don't want to call the police on you. But so not to talk about lions a bunch again like I did last time, but it's like, I will call the police if you don't get out of my house. I know that you're just a guest, and I know I don't have a front door since this is just a cave or a den or whatever. But you have to understand that I don't want you in here. I've got kids, and I want to go out and like go hunting. But if you're in here when I leave, I'm going to be upset about that. I'm probably going to come back and maul your face off. And David was like, yeah, I understand that. So I guess I'll just take up my... If you want to give me a better time to come back, I'll come back then. But I am going to come back, just so you know. So if you really are upset about me being here, I guess there's not a lot we can do there. That's just something you're going to have to deal with, lion, because I'm a man and you're a lion, and I have a slingshot, and I'm going to shoot you right between the eyes. And the lion was like, if you do that, I will stop mauling your face off right now. So please don't make idle threats to me inside of my own home. If you could be so kind as to not do that, I would be very grateful. So yeah, that's what we're talking about this day. So now I guess so this is happening, I suppose. This is something that has started to happen. I guess we're fighting birds now. Stop it! Okay, guess that didn't work. Guess I was crazy for thinking that would work. Let's give this a shot, I guess. So anyways, yeah, there's a story about a man who fought a giant, and I've heard that the story of David and Goliath, Goliath was actually like 6'2" or something like that, and I guess back in the Bible days, 6'2" was really tall, and David was probably like something like 5'1". He was a manlet, as they say. If you go on the internet, they call people manlets, because I guess that's like really funny, but it's actually kind of mean, I think. If you want to make fun of somebody's stature because they're a short boy. SparkleDart's not the tallest boy. I'm kind of a short boy. Well, I shouldn't say that. I am 6'2". I guess that's not that short. That's decently tall. Hey, I told you to not do that anymore, you fucking bird. Let go. Buddy, stop it. Alright, there we go. That's how we do it. So yeah, Goliath, he was all, hey David, you're coming into my house, you're shooting your slingshot at me, and it's like, you want to stop, I'm going to terrorize Babel, because that's what I like to do. This got dark real fast. He's kidnapping children. Oh, I see. Okay. He's giving them to the tree. That makes sense because birds like trees, I guess. Birds like to fly and they like to perch in trees. Is that the joke? Yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, anyways, there's not a lot more to... I'm running low on time here, so I gotta get going. But thank you for checking out SparkleDart. Goodbye. Come back again soon. Goodbye. Mwah.